Hi friends, it's Lisa Mears here. Thanks for joining me. In this video, I'll be sharing with you the Stamps of Life Club products for the month of July of 2024, and I'll be making some cards with those products, so be sure to stay tuned till after the unboxing so you can see how I make my cards. So here's a look at the Stamp and Die Hard Club set for July. It's called Hermit Crabs. If you're part of the stamp club for the month, this is the stamp set you would receive for July. It has hermit crabs and lots of fun sentiments such as snappy birthday, it's time to celebrate, let's hang out, I miss you, hello, and there's many more. Here's a look at the coordinating dies, and if you're a Die Hard member, you'll receive both the stamp and the die set. So let's take a look at the card kit for the month of July. This card kit corresponds with the Hermit Crabs stamp set. And this card kit is called Happy Summer. So you can make a lot of fun summer themed cards with these sets. Here's a look at the inspiration card. You always get a pack of A2 size envelopes for your finished cards, and a large plastic storage envelope that you can store your cardstock or your card kit contents. You get 12 sheets of 8.5 by 11-inch cardstock in the colors Cantaloupe, Cherry, Cloud, Blueberry, Green Apple, Ocean, Blue Jay, Sunshine, and 4 sheets of powdered sugar. Such a pretty color palette for this month. You also get a paper pad that has all of the same colors that you saw in the cardstock, but in beautiful patterns. There are also the hermit crabs in the paper pad that you can use the coordinating dies. If you're a Die Hard Club member, you will have received those dies and you can die cut those crabs out and use them to make easy cards. You can see the word summer, there are some stripes, and there's a beautiful diamond pattern shape that comes in a lot of different colors. There's also the shells. So here's some more hermit crabs, and with these you would need the Hermit Crabs 2 dies to cut those out, but if you don't have them, you can always use scissors and fussy cut them out of the cardstock and also use those on your cards too. So some more beautiful patterns. I love that ocean pattern with the waves. There's some dots, some miniature hermit crabs. You get 2 sheets of each one of the designs in that paper pad. You also get a sheet of stickers. These are sentiment stickers. Lots of fun sentiments from birthdays to thinking of you, thank you, friendship, just because, and so many more. Here's another sheet of stickers. This one has hermit crabs as well as seashells. There's also some blue sticky gems in different sizes and blue ribbon, as well as a word die that says Happy Summer. And the font is the same font as in this word summer in the pattern paper pad. There's also a pack of star embellishments, and these look like they're the ocean color. And you also get an A1 size hermit crab folded die set. So this will make a shaped card shaped like a hermit crab, or you can put this on the front of an A2 size card or even a 5x7 card. So let's go ahead and make some cards. I'm going to start out by using the A1 hermit crab folded die set. There are 3 dies included in this set. You have the large shadow layer, then the die to cut out the different colors of cardstock, and the die to make the eyes. So I went ahead and die cut several pieces of cardstock using the die that has the lines on it, and you can see the face on that die. I die cut a piece of white cardstock, a piece of the yellow cardstock. I die cutted a piece of pattern paper just for the shell of the hermit crab. I didn't need the face for this part because I was just going to use that pattern on the shell part. And then I also die cut a piece of ocean cardstock, and I die cut a piece of ginger snap cardstock from my stash just for the face portion. Using the shadow die, I die cut a piece of white cardstock, and then for the eyes, I die cut some black cardstock from my stash. So now we're going to do some paper piecing with all of these different color pieces of cardstock, but this white layer is going to be the layer that I glue everything to. So I'm going to start out by cutting the pieces that will go on the shell, and I'm going to use this pink and white polka dot pattern paper, and I'm just going to use my scissors and I'm going to snip away the shell portion of this paper. And you can see that when you die cut this paper using that die, that it already has the slits cut in it. You just have to cut the ends to actually disconnect it from the other pieces. So here I just cut away the shell from the head and the claws. And I'm going to use this piece and I'm going to do every other piece of the shell just like you see there on the example. I'm going to do one in the pattern and then one in the yellow. So here I'm just cutting away at the shell on this yellow solid cardstock. And those are the two colors that I'm going to use for my shell. So after I have those cut away from the face, then I'll need to take those same two pieces and cut the different stripes from the shell. So you can see in the example there on my table, there are 4 different sections. You can see the 2 different sections in the orange color and 2 different sections in the pink color. And I'm going to do that same pattern using my hermit crab. Instead of the orange, I'll use the yellow, and instead of the solid pink like you see on the picture, I'll use the pink pattern piece. So I'm just snipping away those different strips and I'll end up with 4 different strips, which is part of that shell. So you can see the 4 different sections there for the pink pattern, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the solid yellow cardstock. Now, some of you might be thinking, oh, this is too much work to have to cut away all of these different pieces, but you can totally use this die set and use one piece of cardstock for the shell and it would still look super cute. So here I'm just cutting away the face. You can see that the lines are already open there on the cardstock, and I just have to cut on the ends to just disconnect it from the other pieces. For the ocean piece of cardstock, I'm going to cut away the claws as well as the 2 antennae. So I'm just going to snip the head part away from the shell, and then I'll snip the head away from the claws. So as I finish cutting this apart, I do want to take a minute and let you know that if you are interested in joining the Stamps of Life Card Kit Club or the Stamp Club or the Die Hard Club, I will have a link down in the description box below with more information on how to join. You can also use my code Lisa Mears when you sign up, and that will give you 500 bonus club points to spend in the Stamps of Life store. So here I'm just adding some ink to the edges just to add some more depth to these die cut pieces. I'm using a pink ink on the pink pattern paper. I'll use a yellow ink on the yellow cardstock. I'll use a blue ink on the blue cardstock and a brown ink on the brown cardstock. I'm going to go ahead and skip some of the inking on the other color cardstock pieces and start gluing this down. You can see that I'm using the white die cut piece as my base so that I can see where all of these pieces go, and basically it's like I'm just going to glue each piece and fit them into this puzzle, and you can see how this hermit crab is coming along with those different pieces of cardstock. So I have the yellow first in that little strip, then I have the pink and then yellow and then pink again. So here I'm going to glue on the claws with the ocean cardstock that I die cut those out with. And then I'll add the face. And then I'm going to add the 2 antennae. Next, I'm going to add a dot of glue on the eyes, and I will add the black dots for the eyes. And then I'll finish this up by just adding a little bit of rosy cheeks with some ink. And I'm just using a very small blending brush so that I can get into the small space to add the cheeks. Next, I'll add this piece to the white shadow layer. So you'll be able to see a little bit of white extending all along the edges. And from here, you can make this into a shaped card if you wanted to, but I'm not going to do that today. Instead, I'm going to add it and make it part of an A2 size card. So I have a piece of pattern paper that's going to go in the background, and I'm going to use this sentiment. I did cut off the right side of the banner piece, and I'm just going to tuck the sentiment underneath the claw. And the piece of pattern paper that I'm using for this card is measured at 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and I'm just going to add the hermit crab right on top. I'm going to tuck some of the shells into the banner. I have one of the shells that's from the pattern paper pad that I die cut out, and then I'm going to use a shell sticker. I'm going to go ahead and glue both of those down to the card. I'm going to stick them right above the banner sentiment. And then I'm going to add a few pink gems that I had in my stash. I'm just going to add those to this empty area on the top left side of this card layer. And then I'll add that to an A2 size white card base. And that will complete my first card. For my next card, I have a piece of pattern paper that I cut to 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. I'm going to use one of the crab die cut pieces from the paper pad, and I'm just putting it here and positioning it inside of this circle die. I'm just trying to see where I want to die cut this pattern paper. I'm going to go ahead and add some mint tape to the die onto the pattern paper and run that through my die cutting machine, and it cuts out this circle. And I'm actually going to be using the large rectangular piece of pattern paper as well as that cutout circle on my card. And I want you to see that you can just flip that circle upside down and use the back side, which is the green pattern. So you can have the pink on the large rectangle portion and then the green circle, or you can flip over the large rectangle piece and use the pink pattern for the circle, whichever one you want to use. But I picked those colors because it does match the colors of the hermit crab that I plan on using for this card. So I like the green diamond pattern on top, so I'm going to glue down the card front to an A2 size white card base so that that green diamond pattern shows on the top, and then I'll glue down that circle so that the pink pattern shows on top. I also used some dies from the hermit crab die set, and I die cut some of the seagrass as well as some of the rocks, and I'm just adding some ink to the edges to add some color to the edges. I'll add some green ink to the edges of the seagrass and some brown ink to the edges of the rocks just to add some more depth. I'll add the hermit crab to the circle, and I'm going to put the seagrass behind it, and I'll add some rocks towards the bottom. I am going to tuck a rock behind one of the claws, and I'm going to put a little bit of foam adhesive on another rock and then add it there to the little scene, and that also adds some depth to that little scene. I cut a piece of solid white cardstock to 4 inches by 1/2 inch. I'm going to go ahead and add it across the card. And I'm going to add some foam adhesive behind one of the banner sentiments and pop that up just towards the bottom of that white piece of cardstock. And that will complete my second card. Moving on, for my third card, I'm going to bring out some balloon dies from Pretty Pink Posh. You can use any balloon dies or even stamps that you might have in your stash. But I'm going to be making a birthday card and I thought it would be fun to add some balloons. So I die cut the balloons with the ocean and the sunshine cardstock. I'm just adding some ink to the edges to add some more depth. These balloon dies also have the strings for the balloons, which I die cut out of the cloud cardstock, and I'll just adhere the strings to the bottoms of those balloons. So just putting a little bit of glue on the top of the string and add it behind the bottom of the balloon. So if you don't have balloons, you can always look in your stash and see if you have presents or gift dies or stamps. You can also use those if you make a lot of birthday cards and want to use this set for a birthday card. So I have a piece of the pink pattern paper. I cut that to 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. I added a zigzag rectangle die. That is a pink and main die. Just die cut that out of white cardstock. You can also use a solid rectangle if you wanted to. I thought the zigzags were fun. And then I took the happy birthday to my friend banner and I just snipped the right banner shape off of that and then just added it flush with the right side of the card. And then I'm just going to add the balloons behind the crab. I am cutting off some of the string because it's a little bit too long and really a lot of that string is going to be hidden by the crab anyway. So I just add the 2 balloons in the background and the crab will be on top. And again, I chose colors for the pattern paper and the cardstock that match the crab. So you can see the pink and the yellow in the shell matches the pink pattern paper as well as the yellow balloon. And of course I threw in the ocean balloon because I just think the ocean color cardstock looks so pretty with pink. Those are my favorite color combinations. This is the ocean color with the pink pattern paper. I'm going to glue some of these star embellishments onto my card. I'm just using some glue and putting a thin layer on the back and then adding 3 to the card front. Next, I'll add this to an A2 size white card base. And then I'm just going to finish this card up by adding some accents with a white gel pen. And that will complete this card. For my next card, I have a piece of ginger snap cardstock that I took from my stash and I cut it to 2 inches by 4 inches. And I'm using a border die to cut a border from that cardstock. I also have a piece of the wave pattern paper and I cut that to 4 by 5 1/4 inches. Before I add the ginger snap cardstock, I will ink up the edges with some brown ink just to add some depth to the cardstock. I want this to represent sand in my little beach or ocean scene. And then I'll glue that down to the bottom of the ocean waves pattern paper. I die cut some of the rocks from the Hermit Crab dies out of some of the cloud cardstock and just inking up the edges with the fog ink from scrapbook.com. And then I'm going to use some of these Hermit Crabs from the sticker sheet and I'm going to add a couple to my sand at the bottom of the card. I'll also add some of the rocks. So you can see just creating a very simple little scene with the sand at the bottom and then you have the ocean waves at the top. I'm also adding some of the shells from the sticker sheet. For the sentiment, I die cut the Happy Summer word die from the card kit, the words out of the dark blue cardstock, and then the shadow out of the white cardstock, and I'm just gluing the 2 together. And I'll add the sentiment on the top part of the card. I'm going to add a seashell right above the word summer. And to bring out some more of that blue, I'm adding this to a piece of blue cardstock. The blue cardstock is cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches, which is the same exact size as the A2 size card base. And that will complete this card. For my next card, I'm using a arch die from Pink and Main, and I die cut the pattern paper with that arch die. I also use that same die to die cut just the bottom portion of that die with Ginger Snap cardstock. That left me with this small rectangle piece, and I'm just gonna cut the top of that rectangle with my scissors to create a little curve in the cardstock. The reason I die cut that with the arch die is because it added stitching on the left, right, and bottom of that die, which is the same stitching that the pattern paper arch has on it. So I wanted to continue with the stitching once I have that piece of cardstock in place at the bottom of that arch. I did add some ink to the edges just to add some depth, and then I'm just going to go ahead and add it there to the bottom. So again, just creating a little scene. This will represent the sand, and I'm just going to add some of the crabs. I'm also going to add some of the seagrass. I did ink up those edges as well, like I did at the beginning of this video. I inked up the seagrass with some green ink just to add some more depth. So I'll go ahead and cut off the bottom on some of the seagrass because it's a little bit too long for what I needed, and then I'll go ahead and add it to the scene. I'll be putting the crab in front of the seagrass. I'm going to do the same thing on the left side, just adding some seagrass behind the hermit crab. I'll also add some rocks to the bottom, and I'll bring in some shells just like I did with the previous card. I'm going to add some foam to the back of the larger seashell here and just add it in front of the crab just for some dimension, and add another shell sticker to the left. And then finally I'll add one more rock to the center of this arch. I'm going to add that decorated arch to a larger arch that I die cut out of white cardstock. And then I'm going to add a sentiment to the open area of that scene. So I'm just put my card layer here in my Misty. I am going to just pick up that seashell that has the foam on it because I didn't want to have anything with too much dimension when I close the door on the Misty, because that would definitely interfere with my stamping. So I'll go ahead and stamp this out. The sentiment I chose says "Time to Celebrate," and I'm going to go ahead and add that shell back to the scene and add this to a piece of pattern paper that's full of seashells. So that pattern paper, I cut that to 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, and then I'll add that to an A2 size card base. So that will complete all 5 cards that I made with the Stamps of Life July card kit called Happy Summer. I will have more information about all of my cards and up-close pictures on my coordinating blog post at lisamearsdesigns.com, and there will be a coordinating blog post link in the description box below. I will also have a link to the card kit and any additional supplies that I used in my video down in the description box. As always, if you had a favorite card, I would love for you to leave me a comment and let me know which card is your favorite. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.